Now we go from California to Iowa, which is also holding primaries on Tuesday. Let's bring in Rachel Stassen-Berger, political editor for the Des Moines Register. She is in Des Moines. Welcome to you, Rachel.
Thank you very much.
Well, in a Des Moines Register poll from mid-May, Fred Hubble led the Democratic field. Have the dynamics of that race changed in the past few weeks?
You know, they have in one major way. The Register, actually, one of the reporters I work with, published a story about some sexual misconduct charges against the person who is second in line in our Register poll. The day after we published those charges, that candidate, Nate Bolton, dropped out. And so the race since then, for the last 2 weeks, has been a bit of a flurry trying to figure out who's going to pick up those former Bolton supporters. Some people had already voted early, and therefore their votes are already cast, perhaps for Bolton. So we'll have to see where it turns out Tuesday.
Well, Governor Kim Reynolds is seeking her first full term. She has served 1 year in office. How do voters view her?
That's right. You know, I think voters are still getting to know her to some extent. As you know, she took over the race after the office after the former governor became ambassador to China, Branstad, and so she's been in office for a while now. She's governed as a conservative Republican. In fact, she signed the what we call the fetal heartbeat law, which bans almost all abortion in the state after 6 weeks. And some of her supporters were really backing that signature. And of course, there are women and others in Iowa who really see that as a destruction of women's rights.
So it sounds like social issues matter very much. What other important issues do voters see in this race?
You know, you would have to put health care up there, not only with all the turmoil on the federal level. There's a lot of health care issues that are very specific to Iowa. They went with Medicaid privatization a few years ago, and there's certainly Democrats who say that has been an abject failure. Governor Reynolds has said, you know, that system needs some tweaks, but it may be working well. And then there's issues of mental health care. You know, Iowans by and large believe that we don't have the mental health care system that we need. And so a lot of the candidates, in fact, are campaigning on that specific issue.
Well, Republicans who currently hold seats in the state's 1st and 3rd congressional districts are facing competition. What are the issues at play in those two races?
That's right. So we have a Democratic primary in both of those. In the 3rd district, again, there's a lot of talk about health care. There's talk about trade. In fact, one of the places where Iowa Republicans have distanced themselves a little bit more from Trump than we had seen previously was on the tariffs, because that directly impacts farmers in Iowa who are concerned about their export markets. And so that's been something that has been very much top of mind. Certainly health care. In fact, on the 3rd district, a lot of the Democrats are talking about getting the money out of politics. That has become a major issue in that primary race. In the 1st congressional district, we have seen, you know, that district is fascinating to us because it's basically a third, a third, a third. A third Democrats, a third Republican, a third independent or no party. You know, Rod Blum has won for 2 terms, but there is a primary race against him. And one of the candidates actually running in that primary would be the youngest woman ever elected to Congress if she makes it through. But obviously she has to get through Tuesday, and then she has to get to November before she can make that mark.
All right, we'll be watching closely. Rachel Stassen-Berger, thanks so much, Rachel.